Welcome to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. This is your number one crypto podcast to hear directly from the movers and shakers, innovators, and disruptors in the cryptocurrency industry. Follow on Twitter for updates and to communicate directly at Woof Big Dawg. That's at Woof Big DAWG. Now, here is your host, the one and only Big Dawg Crypto.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. I am your host, Big Dawg Crypto, and I am very honored and happy to have Miss Teen Crypto on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to hang out with you today.
Look, I appreciate you being here. I've followed you on Twitter for a while. You have a lot of great content. Let's get right into it right now. Looking at the markets and stuff, looking at Bitcoin, what are your thoughts about what it's doing right now? And what are you seeing, let's say, in the next month or two?
Wow. So Bitcoin, I'm happy about where it is right now, considering all the money that's being printed and the whole macroeconomic feel of the entire world right now. I think Bitcoin is in a great place. I hope this is near the bottom. I'm sick and tired of these red candles. We have seen some green candles today. I hope that continues over the next few months. There's so much speculation as to whether we're going down to 10K or whether this is the bottom. We hit the bottom, we're going up. I'm always bullish. I'm hoping that it remains that way. We just keep going up from here and take out all the FUD because, between the FUD and, people withdrawing from exchanges, I don't know if you've been watching those moves. Not a lot of people are willing to sell their Bitcoin instead of their custodying it. So we're going to see what happens and how this affects price.
No, you're right about that. And speaking of exchanges, I mean, talk about having you on the day after the big news broke in crypto, where SBF evidently they're saying they took him into custody in Bahamas. What's going on? I mean, what are you? I'm sure what's going on, but what are your thoughts with all of that?
SBF, I don't know. I think the whole thing is a little sketch, in my opinion. I don't know if this is just a fake out arrest, considering that if you guys have been following the news, Representative Maxine Waters from the U.S. House of Financial Services, they wanted to have Sam testify today, actually. Yeah. And, apparently the day before he goes to testify, he gets arrested. So to me, it seems like they didn't want him to go to court. That's just my opinion. We're going to see how it plays out. I mean, it was about time that some sort of custody happened, but it was just ironic that it happened right before he was supposed to testify in front of Congress.
So it's funny you say that because some people would hear that and go, well, that sounds a little conspiracy theory. But I'd say this. I normally am not about things like that, but I got to agree with you on that. Like, you're going to Congress to testify and suddenly you can't testify. Like, it's too coincidental, right?
Yeah. Over the past
you're right
month,
on that.
Yeah, the past month or two has been absolute chaos in crypto. And they just decided to arrest him now instead of earlier. Why? When he's been constantly on Twitter Spaces admitting to certain things. So, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy person either, but it's just what I've been seeing, and everyone's conspiracies are somehow reality at this point. So we're seeing a lot of this unfold, and I'm happy to see bad actors being filtered out of the space overall. I hope this SBF thing gets resolved soon and we can move on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. There's definitely there's something that's sketchy going on there. I'll agree with you on that. But I think the other thing, what does he said? He said, I don't have time or something. One of his last tweets or spaces was like, it's not convenient. I can't schedule it.
He's
or something like that. Like,
yeah. Obviously SBF because he's comfortable.
Yeah, right. So, okay. So looking at the space in general, well, let me ask you particularly, I always like to ask all my guests, and I ask them this one question because I'm always interested with everybody, right? We're in this space. We love it. We know it. We breathe it 24/7. But at what point, what were you doing when you first heard about Bitcoin?
I was in middle school, maybe, when I first heard about Bitcoin. I was around 13 years old. So, I was just living my life. And my dad was very interested in crypto in 2016 and just kept telling me about it. And then it kind of took me until I was 16, around 2019, for me to fully have it click. So how it clicked for me is when we did our first Bitcoin transaction. And he showed me all he had to do was scan my QR code, scan a QR code on my phone. And instantaneously, I was able to receive money. I didn't need a bank account. Anyone at any age, no matter where they are in the world, is able to transact. And I was like, wow, this is going to change the way we transact, the way we store value forever. So that's why I really fell down the rabbit hole. So it was a little different for me, but it was just because I was little.
That's interesting because when you look at your account, okay, Miss Teen Crypto, obviously you're of the younger generation, right? That's into crypto. And I find this interesting because I like to talk to people of all ages, okay, whether you're a teenager, you're 80, or you're 40, or 50. And one of the things you notice, and I'll say this because I know somebody who's 84 who has Bitcoin and Ethereum and checks them every day, but believes and understands what it's about.
Yeah.
Then I have somebody that's 22 that I talk to. He does not. I mean, he's into gaming. He loves it, but he doesn't like crypto. Doesn't like what it represents. And so it's interesting because it's fair to say, as any new technology, right? You're going to get the younger generation that likes it, and then as you get older, maybe not as much adapting. But I found with crypto, and look, we know most of the people don't know what it is anyway or have no idea.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's a mindset, regardless of your age, right? Either you understand what it means to be able to do it, to be able to send it from point A to point B without permission, or you don't, right? Or the whole thing decentralized versus centralized. So I'd say this: when you look at, let's say, your generation, and you look at the older generations, what are your thoughts? In line with what I'm saying, right? How do you feel about that when you talk to people your age, older? What are your thoughts?
I think it just comes down to whether somebody's open-minded or not. And not even that, it's whether they want to take the time and do their own research, because even within the space, you'll have someone that's quote unquote a maximalist. But if you ask them like, oh, do you know about other projects? They're like, no, I just don't take the time to learn it. I think that's the big problem. Like, people just don't take the time to learn. At the same time, we're going to get to a point where they're not even going to have to learn. And we're still extremely early. And that's what I attribute this a lot to. We're still early. There's a huge educational gap, and there's a convenience gap. It's not, there's a few programs, but you have to be into crypto to know about them for you to be able to transact crypto, even though it's not necessarily transacting crypto when you're just using crypto and then they transfer to fiat for the merchant. So there's a few gaps that we have to fill here. We're just really, really early. So we have to fill that educational gap and make crypto a lot easier to use, where people are not even going to know they're using cryptocurrency when they do payments, when they use coupons, which I think coupons are going to be NFTs. I've been saying that for years. We're seeing Starbucks actually start to work on that. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're seeing more real world uses. And so that's always, I like to ask people too, your thoughts when you look at the space, you look at the financial system, or really in particular, what crypto can change, right, and help with and make better. What would you like to see adoption wise, let's say in the next 2 or 3 years?
I would love to see the use of peer-to-peer payments more and using NFTs. The reason why is because I think peer-to-peer payments is partially the whole revolution here, is that we don't need an intermediary. And I think it's going to come a point where, especially with the rush of CBDCs being implemented in countless countries, and, the banks don't even want you to exit the system. If you've been watching articles where banks are actually blocking your transactions to exchange your fiat for cryptocurrency on exchanges. So we need to be able to exit the system and be able to actually transact. And I think people are going to realize that they don't have the accessibility to their funds that they thought they did. So they're going to be like, what could I use that I don't need permission for? And that's where Bitcoin comes in. That's where cryptocurrency comes in. I think over the next few years, especially with El Salvador taking the lead of using Bitcoin as legal tender, I think we're going to see a lot more people do that, people pushing for peer-to-peer transactions. In terms of NFTs, like I mentioned, Starbucks is working on stuff with Polygon. I think NFTs, especially gaming, is going to be a huge way to onboard people. Just having people realize in a nonchalant way that they could actually own their assets in a way that they didn't think they could before. So I think this is a huge financial and digital revolution that we're all going to be a part of. And I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a huge rush in the next year or two.
I agree with you on that. And I think it's interesting when you talk about Starbucks and NFTs, and we talk about the NFTs and the real world stuff. One of the guys I was talking about that doesn't didn't bring him up previous episode. Anyway, he's like 41 and he's in a band, plays bass in a band, and he doesn't like crypto. And he doesn't like the idea, but I'm like, look, if you're in a band, right, you don't like crypto. I said, if you have an album, let's just say it wouldn't chart it. I said, imagine as an NFT where you could sit there and you can track, right, every single part of it so that you get your royalties, you pay the accountants, pay the lawyers, you know what I mean? Everybody. And I think that's the kind of thing of people that are anti-crypto or not receptive up to it, right, realize the benefit. And I think like merchants, right, they realize if you can accept crypto and you go from paying Visa, MasterCard 2 or 3 or 4% to 0.5%, right? Like that's part of the stuff. And so
absolutely,
that's the kind of adoption, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do on the street interviews a lot. And I remember last summer or the summer before, wow, time flies. I was in Washington Square Park. I was talking to a band and I was interviewing them about crypto, and they were kind of laughing at me like, oh, what am I going to use, a band token like for the name of their band? So I was like, yeah, Absolutely. I was like, okay, you could take it from many angles. If you're a band, one, you could put an album out and imagine buying like the first copy of Nirvana's ever album. Like that's valuable, right? So you could count how many are out there, who has them. And if they've been traded, you, like you mentioned, you get the royalties. On top of that, you could add utility. Like if I buy this one album, then you could actually come to me and do an in-person concert. If you're working from the token angle, I know a lot of content creators, producers that use their own social tokens, where if you buy, let's say 100 band tokens, they feature on your song. You pay 1,000 band tokens, they help collaborate with you. You pay 1 million band tokens and they come to a private concert. There's so many different ways that you could use NFTs. If you show up to their concert, then you get a POAP, a proof of attendance protocol, proving that you were there. That's a memory that's valuable. So there's so many ways that you could go about it. Just being a content creator, an artist, a musician, really anyone could take advantage of this technology. It's beautiful.
Look, I completely agree with you on that. And I think that's, we're going to finally see this come to fruition, hopefully. But you just said too about your on-the-street interviews. So your podcast, I've seen those. Let me ask you, how did you wind up starting your podcast?
Wow. So the Missing Crypto Show, when I started it, it was just an idea I had. I really liked doing interviews. When I was little, I always wanted to be like a little bit of a reporter or whatnot. And crypto, what I'm doing now is kind of a combination of everything I loved. And I loved meeting people in this space. And everyone, if you really get to know people, you realize everyone's from a different spot, whether that's like ethnicity, race, gender, where they are in the world, how they came up, whether that's from the streets or they were rich when they grew up. Everyone is so different, but they all led up to this point where we're all a part of the same revolution, where we all have the same ideologies. I think that's amazing. So I started my podcast just to hear how people grew up and how they got to where they are now. I think it's really great to see someone's success and know what they're doing, but it's also really good to know their backstory and how they came to be who they are. And I think it's really inspiring, especially for Gen Z. So that's why I really started that show. And I also started a new show recently doing the news, but the Missing Crypto Show is so special. And I'm so happy that I've gotten the guests I've got, whether it's news anchors or just people that are in the space, UFC champs, just all of them. And it's just really amazing.
You've had some amazing guests. You absolutely have. And I'd like to know what's the other show too that you'll be doing?
So I recently just started another show called The Daily Zest, Monday to Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, where I just break down the news every day. I know that the news is frantic in crypto. Every single day, it's something different. It's hard to catch up. It's hard to, take part. And so I just offer for people to come hang out with me, 12 p.m. Eastern. I go live. I hang out with the chat and I just talk about the news. So that way everyone's caught up. And I like to be caught up in the news. So it's a way for me to keep caught up and also share it. And I love to learn and share.
Nice. Look, I'm impressed. I mean, I'm watching. Like I said, you're on there all the time. You put a lot of content. One of the things in the space, but I respect people that put a lot of effort into content because let's call it like it is. If you didn't have passion for it, you wouldn't do it. And I find like crypto Twitter is like it's like a community. It's like a family. And I don't say that cliche. Like we kind of get each other. It's like people are on other social medias, but you get on Twitter, right? And it's like, okay, you're in your comfort zone. Okay, I'm like seeing what's up and accounts I've met, like whether in real life or just interacting with. And it's just been fascinating because, like you said, you meet people from all over the world. All kind of people, and we're all different, right? But yet, crypto has brought us to like one family. I know it sounds cliche, but I know people
it's
in this
so
space know
true.
what you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's people are always blinded by the money a little bit, and they're always like, crypto, you'll make 100x. It's not just about the financial freedom. It's also about like unity. And I think that's what crypto does. It really unites people. I think people really are missing out on that right now because they're so focused on the FUD and money and blah, blah, blah. This really brought us together. What other technology, what other cause would bring the globe together other than crypto? I don't know.
Look, I'm with you. I mean, I got into it, a few years ago, 6 years ago. And ever since I've been in it, it's like, I love it. I don't want to do anything else. So let me ask you this too. So when you look at your goals down the road, you've done a lot. I mean, you've done a lot at this point, but when you look at down the road, what would you like to do? And I'm gonna say 5 and 10 years, a little, you know what I mean? Like a while, but let's just say like, what are your goals you would like to accomplish in the crypto space?
Bringing crypto and NFT adoption to my generation and educating the masses on cryptocurrency. I came into this space with the same goal 3 years ago, and it still remains the same. I really want to educate more people. I've been going to high school, so I want to continue going to schools. I've been to colleges as well, taught middle school students. So I would love to continue doing more of that and, doing appearances like on Fox Business, educating the masses in that way about crypto. any way I can, my content, progressing with my podcast, on the street interviews, whatever I could do to spread adoption, I'm going to continue to do. And I know it sounds crazy, but I do want to be one of the reasons that crypto is brought mainstream, because I think it's so important. It's really going to change everybody's life.
So you just said about bringing it to your generation. I guess would be a question of, looking at your generation, what percentage would you say, if you had the ballpark, or pro crypto? And I don't want to say anti, because it's not always anti. It's like it's like non-interest, right? Like you talk to somebody Bitcoin, I don't want to hear about it, right? They don't really hate it. They just don't want to talk about it, or they don't understand it. So what percentage would you say, if you just, and this is just really kind of like a blanket question, but a ballpark, if you looked at all your friends and it's people and what percentage would you say are pro, and the other percentage are like ambivalent?
We're still really early, so I think it's a mix. I think it's very, like, conceptually, it's very, very easy to onboard my generation. When you're just talking about, for example, Fortnite, a lot of kids play Fortnite. You have your skins. Now you could actually move it. You could trade it, sell it with a friend. You could rent it out. So there's a lot of different things that Web3 offers that I think is very easy for Gen Z to understand, especially because a lot of us use Venmo, PayPal. We take that a step further. Peer-to-peer payments, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, digital payments. That's already very easy for us. I think, again, it comes with, how easy it is to spend and things like that. Again, we're still really early. And I think, there were a bunch of articles out over the summer about how almost 50% of Gen Z want their crypto in retirement funds. So our generation is not particularly invested, literally quite mentally and financially, in the traditional financial system. We want something different, because when you think about a stock, right? I could buy a stock on an app and it just says I have a number, I have this stock, but what can I do with it? I can't send it to my friends. I can't trade it for something, for another coin or another stock. You know what I mean? Like, it's so boring. With cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, not only could I have an appreciative asset, but I could send it to a friend. I could trade it for, let's say, Litecoin or another cryptocurrency. That's possible in crypto. You can move it. You could pay for things. You can't pay for anything with a stock. So there's just so much more to crypto, utility wise, than the traditional financial system. And of course, there's, dark holes in the financial system that's a whole other rabbit hole to get into, versus crypto, which is a lot safer, a lot more transparent. So I think that's what Gen Z is going to value, especially custodying their own assets is the most important thing. I think Gen Z really understands that. If you didn't take a selfie, you weren't there. We know digital property.
Right. Now, I agree with you on that. It's interesting. I have a little sister who's 6, and I told somebody the other day, I said, by the time, she finishes high school, and she gets to that age, I expect she'll go into a Starbucks and it'll say Visa, MasterCard, Bitcoin. I expect Bitcoin to be, and I think we all do, or at least it's what we want to see. But look, we're trying to change the biggest thing in the world, the financial system. Yep. So it takes time. It's not going to be easy, but it's like you said, what you're doing is step by step telling people. I think that's great.
Thank you.
Well, look, very cool. So a couple of personal questions I always like to ask people. Plane shows up at your house right now. It's taken anywhere for the weekend. Where are you going? In the
what
world?
was that
Any
question?
country in the world.
Any country.
A plane shows up, says, I'm taking somewhere for the weekend, and you go into friends. What country are you going to go just hang out? Like, what's one of your favorite countries you want to go to?
I know it sounds cheesy, but like, I love Jamaica. And I think it's because of how nice the people are. Like, I went there 3 times, and I just love the people, and I love how serene it is. And, the beautiful water, and the food quality is a lot better than the States, which is a whole other rabbit hole. But I really do love that, just for like the sake of vacations. If I'm choosing something to adventure, I would love to go to like Dubai, around there. I would love to go to Italy and just like eat a lot of pizza and pasta. That would be great.
So wait, Dubai, let me tell you, that was a place that I had heard of, I didn't know much of, and I wound up going there last October. And I shared this with you. Did you? But let me tell you, but I went because of crypto, and I wound up like meeting so many people, whether it was from like, this project or this project. I probably met like 10 people from crypto Twitter and all that. And I had a great time. It was a fantastic place. But, we talk about, bringing the world together. I'm sitting there from the States, never thinking to go to Dubai in my life. And I'm sitting in Dubai, just having coffee, like with some friends in Dubai. And it's like, this is such an amazing space that it takes you from around the world. And we have those opportunities that I think it's like a once in a lifetime chance. So get a chance, go to Dubai. I promise you'll love it.
Yeah. I want to ride a camel in the desert, man.
No, they have that. No, they have that. And like the buildings are amazing. It's like they have the biggest everything. It's absolutely incredible. And the food's great. Okay, so food. I always like to ask my guests, favorite food. What's your favorite food, or a couple of favorite foods you love?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question. I live in New York, so I have like every great food at my disposal. I love bagels, pizza, cookies, chocolate croissants.
Okay.
If I'm talking fast food, In-N-Out is my favorite, even though I'm on the East Coast. And yeah, I don't know. I love food. I love spicy food.
I've,
Everything.
I've never had
Donuts.
In-N-Out burger, but it's supposed to be great.
Oh, it is good. And you know,
Yeah.
people like give it a little bit of sheesh and they're like, oh, it's overrated. No, it's not. I absolutely love it. I love it. Double, please.
It's good. It's good. And then when you're getting worked on and stuff, what do you have on the background? Do you have music, podcast, TV, silence? What do you normally have in the background?
What I normally have in the background of like, you know, like where I live.
No, well, like I'm sorry, when you're working during the day, right? And you're doing stuff, and you're on Twitter. Like, are you like a music person, a TV? Like, what's your form of like background stuff? You know,
I honestly don't. I have CNBC on just because crypto stuff comes up all the time. So when I look up from my computer, I always see a crypto headline and I write it down for my show. So I definitely think that's what I have in the background. Of course, I live in New York, so there's sirens, there's people yelling outside, like, "What are you doing?" and beep beep. So I always have a lot of background noise anyway to keep my mind occupied. But I always listen to podcasts and I'm always like on Twitter Spaces talking. So I always have like a million things going on.
Okay, so and for new people in the space that are learning about it, what do you advise them is the best way to find the right content between Twitter and YouTube and whatnot? What would you tell somebody that's just getting in, they're new to the space, they're like, wow, I want to learn about it. What would you kind of suggest?
I would suggest Google every question, every stupid question. Doesn't even matter because there's obviously no stupid questions when it comes to crypto. This is such a new space that none of us, like when we first get in, are like, what the actual heck is going on?
Right.
So you need to take your time, do your own research. Google every single question. No question is stupid. Look it up. Watch videos. I love watching other content creators, whether that's TA, whether that's just learning about blockchain and things like that. That's how I got into crypto. I just Googled every question. I watched every single video that I thought was interesting. I wrote everything down on a Google Doc until I just actually started talking about it, was able to articulate what my notes actually were. So once you're able to actually speak to somebody and explain it, that's how you know something. So that's what I did. Just research everything, Google everything. Don't discriminate against certain YouTubers. Watch their video. It's always good to get different opinions other than your own. So that way you could absorb all the information and execute upon what you know.
Excellent advice. I tell people all the time, like you said, is consume everything and then double check it, right? Because somebody can say, well, this video might have had some good stuff. Look, everything's got some good and some bad. We're just giving our opinions, right? Some right, some right. It just depends. I mean, it's your opinion. I say right or wrong. It just, who knows? But the bottom line is, like you said, is consume the content. But like you said, Google it and double check.
Absolutely. Yeah. Twitter Spaces are great as well. Yeah. When I was first coming into crypto, I was not first, but like when I was in my senior year, I was writing my research paper on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go on Clubhouse because Clubhouse was really popping before Twitter Spaces came out. And I was like, okay, guys, this is what I'm writing for my paper. What do you think? And a lot of them helped me with that. So I think just like collaborating with people, going on Twitter Spaces, Clubhouse, hop in Discords, Telegram chats, ask your questions. Most likely everyone's going to help you because that's how great this community is. People come in my Telegram all the time, my Telegram group, and they ask questions as a beginner, and we're all there to help.
Definitely agree with that. So let me ask you finally, how do people find you? What's the best way to connect? Find you on Twitter? What's the best way?
So missteencrypto.com has all of my social links. I'm at Miss Teen Crypto on every single platform: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere that you have social media. I'm at Miss Teen Crypto. I have the Miss Teen Crypto show that comes out 1 to 4 times a week live with awesome guests. Then I have the Daily Zest, 12 p.m. Monday to Thursday. And then I have daily content that comes out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, just reels and educational content. I have 1 to 2 minute videos, on the street interviews, all on my YouTube channel and spread all over social media. But that's where you could find me. So find all cool, different types of content that you need to get started in this space.
Awesome. Look, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. This was really fun.
Thanks a lot. This has been the latest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto podcast. Thank you, Miss Teen Crypto. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. Follow on Twitter at WoofBigDawg. Woof, Big DAWG. And run faster than the competition. Woof, woof.